Okay, hello everyone. My name is Dawn Hunziker and I'm from the University of Arizona, and I have the great pleasure of moderating today's session on finding common ground around digital accessibility, presented by Lorenzo Milani and Lorna Notch. And without further ado, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that we're coming to you at the conference after lunch and after a fantastic keynote speech and just before happy hour. So we thank you for coming, and we really hope that this will prove to be an interesting and informative session for you. So my name, as you know, is Lorna Notch, and I am a senior content management analyst at Sage Publishing. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I have medium length blonde hair, green hazel eyes. I'm wearing a floral top, sleeveless top, and I am in my cubicle in my office. So you can see it's surrounded by plants. I'm surrounded by plants. If you don't know Sage, Sage is a global publishing company. We publish journals, college textbooks, library reference materials, videos, data products, a lot of things. So we are presenting from a perspective of a content provider, but we hope that we will be able to create some bridges. And now I will pass the introductions on to Lorenzo.
Thanks, Lorna. Hi, everyone. My name is Lorenzo Milani. My pronouns are he, him, and I am an associate UX specialist at Sage Publishing, but I am based in London in the United Kingdom. I have short black hair, I'm wearing big gray glasses and have a short stubble. And that's it for me.
So we thought it'd be helpful for you to know a little bit about us. And so a little bit about me. I live in the city of Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital. And a fun fact is that I have been to 48 of the 50 states. I have not been to Florida or Alaska. And yes, those are very diacritically different. I have been involved with digital accessibility at Sage for about 7 years now, going on 8. And it's something an area where I'm always continuing to learn and increase my knowledge.
And just a bit about myself, Lorenzo. I'm originally from Italy. I was born and grew up there, but London, the UK, is now my home. And I joined Sage Publishing about 3 years ago in the user experience team. And that's mainly when my work with digital accessibility started.
So we're here to share what we've learned in our time working on digital accessibility at Sage, with the intention of facilitating better communication between content providers and customers. And to that end, Lorenzo, perhaps some definitions. So for the purpose of this talk, we are defining customers as academic institutions, government bodies, and organizations. Those could include nonprofits, companies, businesses, associations, sort of a lump group. Users are those who actually interact with the products and content. So we acknowledge that there can be a distinction between customers and users. And content providers, we are defining as publishers, site vendors, and platform vendors, anybody who's providing a service or providing content. And from the customer perspective, we realize that customers have legal commitments. In the United States, those commitments include Section 508 and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act, state and local legislation, and institutional rules that are specific to a specific college, university, or company. Now, internationally, customers have legal commitments that include the EU Web Accessibility Directive and European Accessibility Act, the Equality Act of 2010, the Accessible Canada Act, the Marrakesh Treaty, and others. And to that end, one of the things that's used internationally to assess accessibility is the Aspire statement. So just a side note, what is Aspire? And the graphic on this slide is a square with a triangle, white triangle through it. It says Aspire 2020 Gold 100 in the green box. Those in the United States may notice this badge on some products, especially those that are sold globally. This is an initiative that started out crowdsourced and has since been taken over by Textbox, which is a transcription and alt text and long description company. What it is an accessibility statement accreditation. It does not assess an entire product or site. It assesses the accessibility statement, which ideally reflects the accessibility of a site. That's the intent, of course. So it does not assess an entire product or site. It only assesses the accessibility statement. And this is especially important for adoptions and accessibility assessment in the United Kingdom at this time. So in our experience, what we have learned and found is that customers want a diverse student body or employee base. And they also want equitable access for everyone. So they want their products, their services, their content to be available to as many individuals as possible. And we also know that customers have a range of systems and products that they utilize and interact with. They have a number of third-party relationships that they are involved in. Some of these may be very long-standing, some may be very new, some may be temporary, and again, some may be very long-standing. They also have a range of knowledge, expertise, and resources around digital accessibility. We know that not every person has, the exact same amount of knowledge, expertise, and resources around this area. So ultimately, customers pay for content and services. And that means that customers have expectations. We've all made purchases, and we all have expectations when we make those purchases. So, and for customers, digital accessibility is one of many priorities. I know we all face the juggling of many priorities in a single day or a single month or a single year. So we definitely acknowledge that as an issue and a concern that customers have. So on the other side of the coin, content providers want to please existing customers and they want to make new customers. That is just good business sense. To that end, content providers are very aware that customers have commitments. They know that they have these legal obligations. They know that they have these desires for equity and diversity and inclusion. So they, content providers are aware of that, and they want to be able to meet those expectations and those needs. So, like customers, content providers have a range of systems and products that they use and utilize every single day. They also have a range of legacy content, and Lorenzo is going to get more into legacy content later, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory what that is, at least in this context right now. And also, like customers, content providers have a range of knowledge, expertise, and resources around digital accessibility. So again, we certainly acknowledge at Sage that there is a diverse range of knowledge, expertise, and resources around this area. So for content providers, as for customers, digital accessibility is one of many priorities. And while, each of us in this room in this session may want it to be the one primary priority, in the real world, that's just not the case, unfortunately. So I've created what I call the Goldilocks approach to document requests. And by document requests, I mean voluntary product accessibility templates, or VPATs. I mean accessibility remediation roadmaps, accessibility statements, individual accessibility questionnaires, anything that a customer would be requesting from a content provider. Now on this slide, there is a picture of Goldilocks, if you're familiar with the fairy tale, sitting up in bed, looking very surprised to find Mama, Papa, and Baby Bear staring back at her with equal surprise. Why is she in their bed? So what we've learned in our time working with digital accessibility and fulfilling customer requests around documentation is that it's likely best to make your request directly to the provider. We are aware that there are repositories out there, and they have fantastic intentions. They certainly have a great purpose. But we've also found that they don't always contain the most recent documentation. And we think that that's likely because they are, manned by volunteers. And again, there's always more work than time and more work than hours in a day. So keeping up with the most recent documentation from a provider can be difficult in these repositories. And also, before you make your request, maybe make your request before you do your own work, because this can save time and resources. So you may have a disability services team, and they certainly have the skill set to test a product, but that may not be necessary. Like, they may be able to focus on another priority or another project, because if you reach out to the content provider and ask for the documentation, they may already be able to provide that for you and save you that time and effort. So while these are not actual requests that we have received or responses that we have given, they are representative of the sort of requests that we've received and the sort of responses that could potentially be given. We would like to say we haven't given these type of responses, but it's possible. So this request for documentation is too vague. Hello, send us a VPAT. Thanks, yours truly. Now, Sage, for example, has more than a dozen products. So which one, which one are you asking for? This request is too specific. Now, I'm not going to read everything on the slide, but I am going to give a representation of what's on this slide. Hello, we subscribe to this journal, this book, this video, this podcast, this skill set, and this textbook, and this textbook. Please send VPATs. Thank you, yours truly. Now, while it is definitely possible that a content provider may have an individual VPAT for each item on a platform, it's unlikely. It's much more likely that they will have a VPAT or documentation for a representative items on a specific platform. So asking for all these specific things basically means that the content provider has to say, okay, that's on this product, and that's from this product, and that's from this product. So it has to do a little bit more mental effort. Not that that's a bad thing, but it might hold up the request response. So one of the reasons that we think that some of these requests come in